Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Wizards of Sports TV. I'm your host, Sports with Greg, and after the last week we've had in sports, it's only fair that I do a quick roundup of the sporting events or the ones that made highlights over the past weeks. I want to start off with college basketball in the US. So it's down to the Final Four, all the March Madness out of the way. Well, still a little bit of madness left to happen, but that will take place in April. And yeah, down to the Final Four with men's and women's competition. In the women's competition, the top seeds made it through. Well, at least 3 of the number 1 seeds made it through, and 1 number 2, which based on the seedings, kind of expected. But nothing is guaranteed. Nothing, the game is not played on paper, like they say. So, yeah. For the women's Final Four, it will be UConn, who's the only number 2 or non-number 1 seed, through to the Final Four. They go up against a pretty strong Stanford team, and South Carolina, who are pre-tournament favorites, they go up against Louisville. So pretty strong Final Four lineup. UConn year to year national champions. Same for South Carolina. Stanford have done it a few years over the past 2 decades. So, and even Louisville have been pretty good here or there about. But yeah, at least those are the 3 have been national champions over the past 2 decades. So pretty exciting Final Four coming up this weekend in the women's game. Now, as far as the men's competition, and as Dick Vitale would say, yeah, baby, UNC Duke Tobacco Road rivalry. My Tar Heels trying to send Mike Krzyzewski into early retirement. I know he would like to cut down those nets at the national championship one more time, but not this time around. Hubert Davis and North Carolina Tar Heels have something else in store for him. Like I said, early retirement for Coach K. Has a very, very, very highly decorated coaching career. Could probably say, not probably, he is the best college basketball coach ever. Yeah, Coach K. So, but no sentiments this weekend. This Saturday our plan is to send him home early, as number 8 North Carolina goes up against number 2 Duke. So Carolina, we were a number 8 seed. We weren't expected to get this far, but such was the men's bracket that even Miami, who was a number 10 seed, made it to the Elite 8. So there were a lot of ups and downs, a lot of upsets, a lot of surprises in the men's tournament. And yes, we have it now where it will be a 8-mile rivalry between UNC Duke, and the next semifinal is Nova versus KU. KU, the only number 1 seed that made it to the Final Four. So, like I said, lots of surprises in the men's side of the bracket, but good lineup nonetheless. Some pretty big name majors, school that made it to the Final Four. Traditional schools actually. Nova have won it recently. UNC, Duke, and KU, all traditional men's basketball schools. So yes, pretty exciting lineup for this weekend in men's college basketball. And my prediction right now is KU, North Carolina, national championships. Let's see how that works out. Anyways, moving on. F1 season has started back, Formula 1, for those not familiar with the term F1. And Saturday, those of us who follow the sport over the years, got a little bit of scare when Mark Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher, crashed in his qualifiers. His car basically split in two. He had a head-on collision. His car split in two. He was airlifted to the hospital, but within a few hours he was back in his hotel room. They did some scans. There weren't any known damages at the time, but he was unable to race in Sunday's race in Saudi Arabia. Now, there were other scares also. Some of the drivers weren't sure, drivers and teams weren't sure they were going to participate in Sunday's race because there was a bombing of a oil field in Saudi Arabia, which was, they said, probably about 30 miles away from where that circuit is, where the F1 circuit is. But the Saudi government, they reassured everyone that they were safe and the military were protecting that area at all costs. So they went ahead with the race, and Max Verstappen, he won that race. Verstappen won. There's this kid, Charles Leclerc. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know much about him, but he drives for Ferrari. He finished second. It was a very close finish, actually. He finished second, and he's now leading the Drivers' Championships after two races, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. So, Charles Leclerc, like I said, he's leading the Drivers' Championships, but Max Verstappen won that race. And my boy, Lewis Hamilton, he finished all the way in 10th position. Not a good showing for him, but he's still up there in the Drivers' Championships. He's in 5th place, so let's see. He needs to get it together soon because, don't want to end in like we had towards the end of last season in Formula One Championship. But yes, pretty exciting weekend in Formula One, but have to move on from that. Onto football, and over the past week we had the penultimate and final round of games across Europe, Africa, CONMEBOL, and CONCACAF. Well, Asia as well for World Cup qualifiers. Now, like I said, most of these confeds have already been decided, but there will still be a few playoffs left. In CONCACAF, started with CONCACAF, Canada ended their 36-year drought, I think it is, qualifying for the World Cup, where they beat Jamaica 4-0 on Sunday in Canada. Now, I have a lot of people asking me about that Jamaican team and the result. To be honest with you, it's not a result that I'm disappointed with. It's not something that hits hard because based on the fact that we were already out of contention for qualifiers, I didn't expect the strongest team to be out there. When I saw the team that was put out, I realized, yes, the coach is just trying some players, just trying some players now, giving them some experience, because the road to USA Mexico or USA Canada, wherever 2026 will be held, starts now for us. So that was good of them to, give some of these other players a run out, because they are the future of the JFF program. But anyways, not to dwell too much on that. Congrats to Canada. I see them as the most complete team in CONCACAF. USA and Mexico has the stars, but Canada as a team, when you watch them, you can say, yes, these players are well drilled. Like, they've been doing this together since the under 12 age group. USA sits in second. They travel to Costa Rica. They have a plus 10 goal difference. Costa Rica, who are in 4th place at the final qualifier, the playoff spot, they have a plus 3, but can finish on the same amount of points as USA, but goal difference will be a big if for them. Now, the team that sits in 3rd, Costa Rica has a better chance of getting by them and goal difference. But this would take a miracle as El Salvador travels to Mexico to play them, which we know how it goes in the Azteca, and El Salvador being already out, they might just send their weakest team down there, So right now, it looks like Canada, USA, Mexico, with Costa Rica going to the Intercontinental playoffs. But let's see how it plays out later on. Or I don't know if by the time this video drops, if those games might have already been played. Now moving on to CONMEBOL, those qualifiers have been pretty much decided as well, except for the playoffs. Well, the playoff spot have been decided, but you know that team still has to go to Intercontinental, which Peru picked Colombia, and yeah, they picked Colombia for the fifth spot. So the teams that went through are Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, and Uruguay. So yeah, Chile and Colombia were picked for that final for the fifth place spot. So Peru got that spot. Funny enough, Uruguay back in November were sitting in seventh place, and you know Suarez guaranteed everyone that he's gonna bring his country to the World Cup, and he sealed that with a superb acrobatic goal last night to win that game. They were already qualified, they were already assured of their spot in the top four, but you know by them winning that game they finished in third place. So congrats to Uruguay and all the other qualifiers from CONMEBOL. Now speaking of Uruguay and Suarez, now 12 years ago he handled the ball on the goal line against Ghana in the African World Cup, and subsequently his goalkeeper saved, and they ended up knocking Ghana out in penalties. Now Ghana has a chance of repaying them come this World Cup. They have a chance. So just in case they meet, whether it be group stage, knockout stage, but Ghana themselves qualified yesterday when they went to Abuja and drew with Nigeria. But Africa in their playoffs uses the away goals rule. So because of them drawing in Abuja, the game in Accra last week ended 0-0. You know, so Ghana went there yesterday, drew 1-1. Goal from their captain Thomas Partey, Arsenal legend. You know, had to put that in there. And Ghana are on their way to the World Cup. So like I said, they have a chance of hopefully meeting Uruguay again, and this time repaying them for, you know, their sins that they committed, or Suarez sins that he committed back in 2010 World Cup. But yeah, the other teams that qualified from Africa, Senegal got by Egypt in what was a replay of the African finals. You know, that game went to penalties, and the talisman of Egypt, and some of us, including myself, World Player of the Year so far, Mohamed Salah, skied his penalty. First in the shootout for Egypt, and he skied it, you know, while Sadio Mane, his fellow Liverpool compatriot, powered his into the back of the net to score the final one for Senegal, sending them through to the World Cup. There were also drama in Algeria, as with them leading 2-1 in the final minute of stoppage time in extra time. Cameroon stole one. You could say the final kick of the ball, but you know the ball was kicked off after again. But you could say with the final kick of the ball, Cameroon stole one in Algeria. That game ended 2-2. But like I said, with the away goals rule, Cameroon qualified. So 3 West African teams making it through, and 2 North Africans, as Morocco beat DR Congo. Yeah, I think DR Congo is who. Morocco beat them pretty handsomely. 3-0 was the final score I saw. I don't know if there was any changes after that, but Morocco beat DR Congo, and Tunisia got by Mali. Mali I'm pretty disappointed with the squad that they have, but you know, such as football, it's not played on paper, it's played on the field, and Tunisia did what they had to do to get by them. So that's 5 teams from AFCON, or from CAF, that's going to the World Cup. Over to Asia, and so far the qualifiers are Iran, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. Those 4 teams finished first and second in their groups respectively. Now the third place teams in those groups are UAE, which I had no idea their football program had gotten this good. But UAE, they will play off against Australia, and then the winner of that goes to the intercontinental playoffs. So yeah, still, like I said, still a lot of games to be played. Actually, the draw for the World Cup was supposed to be April 1st, I think, or sometime in April was supposed to be the draw for the World Cups. But because there's still gonna be another run of games in June to decide, I think like 4 or 5 more teams going to the World Cup, the draw will have to be held after that. So yeah. So like I said, yeah, UAE goes up against Australia for that final Asian spot to go to the intercontinental playoffs. Now, as for Europe, Portugal and Poland booked their tickets to the World Cup. So one more World Cup for the Phenom, one of the greatest ever, CR7, just like Messi, you know. And actually, I think this might be the last one for Neymar himself, you know, because he's not that young either. I think he's at least 30 years old now, you know, or at least 29. So might be the final World Cup for Neymar, Messi, and Ronaldo. So, and Lewandowski as well. So it will be a World Cup for the legends. Let's put it that way, you know. So yeah, Portugal, they got by North Macedonia, who surprisingly took out Italy, you know, and this is, I think this is the second consecutive World Cup that Italy have not qualified. They haven't been doing too well in World Cup qualifiers, as a matter of fact, since winning, was it 2006 they won? They haven't been too impressive, so they failed to qualify. And as you know, with the Italians and their love for football, that's their number one sport. Heads will roll and fingers will be pointed. As a matter of fact, one of their former players and coaches said that it is the influx of foreign players in the Serie A, or top players in the Serie A, that's causing the decline in the Italian national team, you know, because players like Dybala, Victor Osimhen, Lukaku from last season, Leo at AC Milan this season, you know, Vlahovic at Juventus, just to name a few. So he thinks that it is causing their strike force to not be as competitive as it needs to be. But, you know, that's on them. The Premier League has a lot of foreign influx in the league. So does La Liga. So does the French league. But, you know, their teams still have high quality players. So who cares? What was it? I don't remember the former coach's name now. But yeah, Poland moved on as well, like I stated. But there's one more spot to be decided in Europe, and that's being pushed back because of the current conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Now, Ukraine is supposed to play Scotland in a semi-final playoffs, and the winner of that play is Wales, who are awaiting them. Wales got by Austria last week and are sitting, you know, comfortable right now and waiting on the winner of the Ukraine-Scotland game. That's supposed to be played in June in the next FIFA date. So let's see how that turns out. Anyways, that's all I have time for right now, and that's the roundup. Oh, actually, before I go, West Indies also beat England in Test cricket over the weekend. You know, continuing their home unbeaten record against the England team since 1968. So kudos to Captain Craig Brathwaite and the rest of the fellas, that West Indies team. You know, like to see that. I have been very critical of them since recently. They have come under heavy criticism all across the Caribbean and the world at large, the cricketing world that is. So good to see them turning up and beating the brakes off of that England team. You know, pretty strong England team, I may add. But yes, like I said, that's it for now. Continue to like, share, subscribe, and until next time, be safe. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace.